What if I told you that an armored assault of 60 tanks, 40 carriers, and nearly 1,000 troops was destroyed in less than a quarter of a minute? Today, we break down the trap that shattered North Korea's expedition. July 27th, 2025. A North Korean spearhead crosses the line. 60 T-90s, armored carriers, and thousands of infantry timing a blitz meant to shatter the front. Moments later, it's over. Suicide drones detonate out of sequence. The lead T-90 hits an unseen pressure plate. The blast flips the hull, its turret hurled 50 feet into the air. Vehicles swerve into safe lanes, straight into layered mines. Radios choke, optics wash out, and the hunters realize they're already in a kill box. Operation Frost Hook was engineered to spring instantly. Bait corridors, thermal triggers, and crossfires turned mass into panic. Satellite imagery captures the column rolling out of a captured Russian base in Donetsk. Battalion ordered ranks, tight spacing, steady march rate. The route overlay points toward the southeastern corridor. Hull codes, chevrons, and numbering follow DPRK parade patterns, not Russian motor rifle inventory. Crews wear black on olive armbands issued by Pyongyang for expeditionary contingents. An intel report changes one word that shifts the board: participant. Pyongyang crossed the line from Moscow, no longer deniable theater for NATO. This is a new live variable in the eastern flank calculus. The Vanguard opens the way. 80 suicide drones pre-programmed with corridors, altitude gates, and thermal triggers. They're there to rip lanes, force defenders to light up sensors and confuse air defenses. Timing puts the swarm seconds ahead, compressing chaos into advantage. 60 T-90s with dozer blades and side skirts locked down for obstacle work. 40 troop carriers with assault teams primed to dismount. Air defense and logistics trail behind. Pace starts conservative, then steps up enough to keep the shock coherent without losing command and control. Manpower sets the scale. More than 800 assault infantry up front, with sappers, AT teams, and thousands more in follow-on echelons to exploit any rupture. Western analysts price the package at $370 million for armor, munitions, drones, and sustainment, a staggering figure for a sanctioned economy. This isn't an opportunistic raid. It's an integrated mechanized deployment and Pyongyang's expeditionary debut on foreign soil. The intent is plain: break Ukrainian lines before noon and project a message far beyond the battlefield. But the plan rests on two assumptions the map can't show: that the Vanguard would own the approaches and that the routes were merely dangerous. Ukraine wasn't caught off guard. As the North Korean column entered the southeastern axis, the ground was already prepared for more than a tactical delay. 7 kilometers had been turned into a kill zone. Ordinary terrain at first glance, engineered to flip into chaos. For 17 consecutive nights, small teams worked irregular shifts with no detectable routine. Over 4,200 anti-tank mines were buried, not in uniform carpets, but in interlocking grids with irregular spacing, aligned to target migration paths and column compression points. The design was reviewed by NATO combat engineers, not to increase quantity, but to validate precision, where each forced detonation would create maximum blockage with minimum waste. Layers were the secret. Belts of pressure, plate mines covered likely routes. Oblique rows with seismic sensors watched for off-road maneuvers. Pockets with infrared triggers guarded openings that looked like exits on the map. Together, they formed depth kill zones. Any correction pushed the enemy into another mistake. There were deliberately safe corridors, narrow lanes left unmarked to force a choice. After the first blast, the instinct is to dive for the clean path. Frost Hook counted on it. Those lanes converged on mapped choke points, where the odds of multiple vehicles lining up and blocking each other were highest. Timing sealed the trap. Many charges used staggered arming windows and different sensitivities. First to halt the Vanguard, next to punish anyone trying to go around, and last to hit recovery and rescue. This wasn't a row of explosions. It was a clock built to tear apart the formation's coherence. At first light, the field looked neutral, low grass, old tire marks, no metallic glints. But every plot had coordinates and purpose. Stay on the road and pressure would start the sequence. Go off-road and the seismic nets would take over. Stop and you'd be pinned under planned crossfire. The first T-90 crosses the invisible line. The blast lifts the nose and throws the turret. Instinctively, a following driver breaks right into the clean lane, exactly where the next mesh closes. Soon the tally reaches 17 neutralized tanks. On the radios, overlapping voices scream. On the MSR, broken tracks, fires, and zigzag blockages turn speed into static targets. Overhead, Ukrainian operators watch it all live in thermal, marking every impact, every swerve, every failed reverse. A recovery vehicle pushes forward, rolls a wheel over a seam in the soil, and disappears into soot. The second act begins without a call. Hidden T-84 oplots rise from hull-down positions, engines already spooled, stabilization locked. On the left, two platoons crossfire into intact T-90s from the sides. On the right, one platoon cuts the escape route. It's a pre-planned pincer, firing windows open, then shift before return fire can respond. In minutes, 9 more tanks are destroyed, some with APFSDS at close range, others with gun-launched missiles. Crews keep tempo, even as stray drones explode against explosive reactive armor. What's left of the enemy armor tries to jump the median, only to hang up and expose their skirts. Behind them, Bodana artillery pounds retreat points and crossings, cutting rally attempts to pieces. Any recovery crew becomes the next target. The sky turns into a grinder. Ukrainian air defenses light up. Rotary cannons and interceptors bring down nearly every drone. Electronic warfare corrupts guidance signals, sending surviving UAVs veering into nothing or crashing harmlessly. On the ground, RPG teams stalk immobilized tanks, while snipers eliminate officers by gesture alone. The assault breaks apart. What began as an armored column no longer exists as a unit, only scattered knots of steel, smoke, and silence. The North Korean offensive ceases to exist as a coherent force. 42 armored vehicles destroyed, 14 abandoned, more than 230 casualties between dead and captured. The supply route is choked with burned hulls, shattered tracks, and immobilized wrecks. In Pyongyang, silence. No victory claim, no parade clip. Reports emerge of generals under investigation. Orders to the field are no longer tactical but administrative. Tally losses, gather survivors, halt further rotations. On the ground, the ring closes. Ukrainian airborne reconnaissance units, inserted earlier through Soviet-era tunnels, surface in the enemy's rear. They cut escape trails, seize junctions, and complete the encirclement. Sensitive materials are recovered. In a burned command vehicle, medics find a wounded officer carrying orders of battle for the next 72 hours. 4 regiments of plans, including logistics schedules and fire priorities. That single image becomes the shortcut to the real lesson. Technology alone doesn't win battles. Drones, sensors, mine grids, and firing windows were tools. Victory came from patience, discipline, engineering, and precision. The prepared ground dictated the geometry. The oplots exploited the moment. Artillery sealed the exits. Electronic warfare cleared the sky. Discipline and integration beat mass and speed. Modern superiority is born of integration, terrain to munition, sensor to command, timing to execution. These lines will end up in manuals, but first they become habit. Prepare the ground. Choose the moment. Finish the fight.